There seems to be a definite air of crisis in the world at the moment, with events over the last few months in the US economy, banks failing, the prospect of the money supply being inflated, this sort of thing. Astrologers tend to associate crisis with Pluto. Given Pluto's current position in the heavens, what's your view of what this might symbolize?
Well, in answer to that, I mean, the first sign we saw of market collapse was early this year, because last year in 2007 the markets were, bounding ahead quite nicely. But January 22nd this year, the headlines around the world, in England, in America and in Australia, were that of market drops. And the Australian market dropped around 7%. And BHP dropped around 33% in their shares, within a few days. So definitely that marked that there was a change in the air. The economic crisis, of course, has come back to haunt us again. And astrologers, would look at Pluto moving into Capricorn as indicating some sort of change to the structure of our society. If we look at Capricorn as being, say, the corporate governance, the status makers, and it's just the society built really from the top down, then when Pluto starts to move through that area, it is going to transform by breaking down the structural elements of our society. So it's a time of great change. It can be a time of great turbulence. It has been in the past. And I think if you look at every time that Pluto has manifested itself in that sign of Capricorn, whether you look at the dawn of Christianity, what a great change that was for thinking right through the European world and eventually the whole globe. And what we're looking at now, I think, is a similar change. The last time Pluto was in Capricorn, we had the Industrial Revolution. James Watt had invented the steam engine. And, that was a move away from the pastoral age, and a whole way of life changed as a result of that. So we're certainly looking over the next 16 years at some phenomenal change at the way we live our lives.
And the other, I suppose, notable alignment that's coming up in the next few years is the cardinal T-square, so-called. So Uranus and Jupiter conjoin at the beginning of Aries. Saturn is the beginning of Libra, joined by Mars briefly for a period, and Pluto is at the beginning of Capricorn, around about the middle of 2010. What's your take on how this might play out?
How it's going to play out over time? Well, if you're getting that cardinal square of Uranus and Pluto, it has happened before when Pluto's had the Capricorn ingress. It happened early on in the first millennium, and it represented the division of the Roman Empire, east and west. So we can see that that Uranus obviously brings in a sudden change with that situation. I think we're looking mainly, Nick, at the the early cardinal countries, those that have, like Indonesia, a grand cross at the start of cardinal. That these will be good countries to act as a measuring stick for how this change happens. But I see a lot of rebellion in those countries because the Grand Cross, for example, in Indonesia's chart is between the Sun and the Moon, or the leaders and the people. And it also brings in Mars and Uranus with it. So you're having a double Uranian effect with Pluto. But all around the world we're going to see this. And I think what is challenged here is the independence of the individual within the structure of his society. This is represented by Uranus and the massive change with Pluto.
I suppose what many people in Australia would like to know a little bit more about is what some of these changes may hold in store for the lucky country.
Well, Australia, yes, Australia, England, America, they've all got planets at the start of cardinal or in the first decanate of the cardinal signs. Australia's federation occurring on the 1st of January 1901. So obviously the Pluto will move over there, and as it does, around 2011, 2012, in that period, you'll also have the Uranus square. Because it's a Sun-Saturn conjunction of the Australian Federation chart, it actually does talk very literally about the leader, the Sun, and the Saturn, and his authority, and also their connections to the past. And if you look at the Great Britain chart of 1801, you're seeing the Sun in the same position. and it's right at the IC of their chart. So, so I'm seeing a change between the relationship between England and Australia, which to me indicates the Republic almost a certainty.
Okay, thanks, Ed.